You mentioned some ingredients not to take, but also some ingredients to take, like EGCD, turmeric, mushrooms. With everything, is there an upper limit? Is there mega doses? Because we live in a society and culture that's very like more is better. Like I want a good bang for my buck. Give me a lot of it. And I feel like that's not the point.
That's correct. That sometimes a small amount is good to take some, but to take too much is also not good. There's a sweet spot, and people could utilize that to distort the dangers or the benefits of a supplement. Because they could say, look, that's not good to take. Dr. Fuhrman says you should take that. But look, here's a study that shows that you take it, it's bad for you. Well, that's because people took too much of it. Mm-hmm. And there's, just like we could say that with omega-3s. Too much omega-3s could thin the blood, increase risk of atrial fibrillation. But too little could also increase risk of atrial fibrillation. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about being in most supplements, taking too much could not be healthy. Too much vitamin, whatever you're taking. And with regard to this idea of taking, some people needing to take that methyl tetrahydrofolate.
Yeah.
Right.
Methylfolate. Then, yeah.
It's methyl tetrahydrofolate. Whatever. It's a methylated folate, true.
Yeah.
It's safer than the folic acid, of course. It's a better choice, but still better not to have that if you don't need it. But some people need it. And those are people who have a methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase deficiency. It's a polymorphism that means they're defect in a gene that converts folate converts folate from food into the usable form in the body, right? And that's identifiable to a person who's got a problem, and it only is they need to take that supplement when the disease is homozygous, which means that you have two bad genes. You have one gene from your mother, one gene from your father. When both genes are bad, then you have to take extra methyl tetrahydrofolate. If one gene is bad, that's your heterozygous, you don't need to take anything. And so that means you can check your homocysteine. Now, your homocysteine is a lab test, a blood test, that elevates with B12 deficiency or with folate deficiency, but it'll also elevate if you have a deficiency of this gene, the methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase gene on both sides. If you have two bad genes, it'll elevate. And those people, to lower their homocysteine, has to take extra folate.
Right. Okay.
So there's always some exceptions, but that's rare.
It's not the majority. It's not. Chances are it's not you.
It's like 1 in 1,000 people.
Yeah. Do you want to say that for us 3 times fast? Methyl tetrahydrofolate.
Reductase. No.
I'll save you.
Okay.
So would you say testing is necessary for everyone? Because it's really, you always talk about this in art, as science. It sounds like there's a lot of optimal ranges. You don't want to be too high. You don't want to be too low. What are the tests people should take, and do you recommend them for everyone?
Well, I do want people to follow their omega-3 index because it so correlates with neurologic health in later life. To have just like the salt intake your whole life, we want to have an optimal omega-3 index for the majority of your life to protect your brain health with aging. So that's something you should follow every 5 years or so and adjust your supplement accordingly.
Just like one test every 5 years.
Yeah, same thing with B12, because there's a chance that as we get older, like at 70, I'm 71, but as you get to be 75, 80, 85, 90.
You look really good, by the way.
Thank you. You look good too.
Thank you.
Okay. As we get older, the chance of developing, you need more B12 or more, might pay to just check that what we're taking is enough. But and again, you can check your homocysteine, because if I wasn't getting enough B12, my homocysteine would start to go up.
What about women and iron, or men too?
That's a great question, because we're finding that people have such a varying ability of absorbing iron. And healthy people too, that some people taking iron is bad for them because their level of iron in their body they have plenty of it, and more would be bad for them. And they have some people just don't absorb iron well, and they need to take iron. Because I'm a doctor, I'm seeing women who are eating healthfully and women who are not eating healthfully. And regardless of whether they're eating healthfully or not, some of these women need iron to take iron, because low levels of iron, and iron is best measured by a blood test called ferritin. So the ferritin represents the body's stores of iron. And your ferritin can be low even if your hemoglobin and hematocrit are you're not anemic yet. You can still have low ferritin, and it's still the low ferritin represented low iron stores is interfering with good health. Now, we know that taking too much iron is not good for people and it causes harm. So we only want to give people iron supplements when their ferritin is low.
So it sounds like in certain cases, testing is great just to check in that you know how your body's operating and you're taking the right supplements for you.
I think episodically checking a woman's ferritin, at least, occasionally, let's say every 10 years, making sure she's not deficient seems reasonable too. And also the fact that, let me tell you something about iron replacement therapy, is you can use a regular iron supplement and maybe that's going to help your ferritin, your iron stores go up, but maybe it won't. Because when you take iron, you only absorb a little tiny bit at a time. And because you absorb such a small amount at a time, you got to take it very frequently. You take too much at once, you're not going to absorb well anyway.
Right.
Plus, it's going to cause constipation and digestive upset. So you might as well just take a small dose,
right?
Because you only absorb a little bit anyway, and take it more frequently. Now, there are some women who, even if they're taking iron supplements frequently, they still can't get their iron up. Should they take, IV iron? No. But those people need a heme iron. And we're saying one of the risk factors, one of the negatives of red meat is it contains a lot of heme iron, which builds up your iron. If it builds up your iron too high, and a high extra iron is an oxidant. But that doesn't mean there aren't some rare individuals that we find that need the heme iron.
From red meat?
Well, they can just take the heme iron in a supplement.
Oh.
You don't have to eat the red meat to get the heme iron.
Yeah.
But I've seen some women whose iron you can't get up, particularly have some things wrong with them where they're not absorbing iron well, where we have to give them heme iron to get their levels up.
Heme iron, so it's different than just other supplemental iron.
Yeah, because the heme iron is more absorbable, but also more dangerous if you were taking it and you didn't need it.
Would you tell those patients to just eat red meat, or would you say it's best to supplement? Well, I guess the red meat could elevate their saturated fat and...
Yeah, there's other problems with red meat, so I'd probably just recommend they take the heme iron.
Got it. Okay, cool.
So occasionally I'm taking them kind of like off a vegan solution onto a meat-based solution because the heme iron is derived from an animal product, but this person required it.
Right, so you're saying the heme iron is still derived from animal products, so it wouldn't actually be vegan.
Correct.
But in certain cases, you would recommend it for health.
We have to do it for a person who needs it.
Yeah.
Which is not common, but it happens.
Right. So that's why it is important to check. When's the last time you checked your B12? Do you actually check that?
Yikes.
Curious.
I don't think I've checked it in the last 10 years or so.
Okay.
But I've checked my omega-3 index.
Yeah.
That I've checked because I know I'm taking...
How is it?
The first time I checked it, it wasn't ideal. I had to up my dose a little bit.
Right. So what was it, like a 4?
It was like a 4.8 or something.
Yeah.
So
you want above 6.
I wanted to be above 6 because I used to think that above 4 was good enough when I was younger.
Right.
Because most vegans were about 65% of vegans did not have levels above 4. So I thought above 4 would be good. But now I realized above 6 is all these studies that come out. Above 6, you get better neurologic outcome in later life. So now now I know that 85%, 90% of vegans are too low, not just 66%.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I was too low, even though my level was pretty good.